This week on ICN, the stories you should have heard, but didn't. The FBI closes Anthrax letter case, but leaves many questions unanswered. Court orders Texas to destroy newborn baby DNA, taken and stored without parents' consent. Central bank leaders meet secretly in Australia. Americans more dependent on the government than ever before. Those stories and more next on Informed Citizen News. Hello and welcome to ICN, Informed Citizen News, February 28, 2010. This week, the FBI released documents related to the Anthrax letter attack that killed 5 and sickened 17 others in 2001. In 2008, more than 7 years after the original incident, the FBI concluded that Bruce Ivins, a senior biodefense researcher, perpetrated the Anthrax letter attacks. This particular story is one of the reasons why we created ICN. Our government's unrestrained abuse of power during the 8-year investigation led to Mr. Ivins' death, where we are left with more questions than answers. In this broadcast, we take extra time to look back at the Anthrax attacks and subsequent investigation by the FBI. Prior to 2001, the FBI was tainted by several investigations gone awry. Their single-minded pursuit of a suspect created a media circus, and along with unprosecutable cases. In the 1996 Atlanta Olympic Park bombing that dragged Richard Jewell into the limelight, initially considered the hero for moving people away from the bomb before it exploded, the security guard became the focus of the FBI probe for 3 months. The FBI turned Richard Jewell's life upside down and inside out. Mr. Jewell was completely exonerated. In the Wen-Ho Lee case, Lee became the focus of a federal probe into how China may have obtained classified nuclear warhead blueprints. After Lee's name was leaked to the public and subsequent media blitz, the government's case collapsed. Prosecutors agreed to a plea bargain in which Lee pleaded guilty to 1 of 59 counts. In 2004, the FBI wrongly arrested lawyer Brandon Mayfield after the Madrid terrorist bombings due to a misidentified fingerprint. The Justice Department's internal watchdog faulted the Bureau for sloppy work. Spanish authorities had doubted the validity of the fingerprint match, but the U.S. government initiated a lengthy investigation, eventually settling a civil suit with Mayfield for $2 million. In the days after the September 11 attacks, letters containing anthrax spores were mailed to several news media offices and 2 Democratic U.S. senators, killing 5 people and infecting 17 others. 20 of the 22 people infected were traced to letters mailed from a Princeton, New Jersey mailbox. For 2 of the 5 people who died from anthrax exposure, the FBI has no clue as to how they were infected. An additional letter containing anthrax sent via DHL through Switzerland to Chile has completely baffled FBI investigators. As chemical analysis began on the anthrax evidence, one interesting report from ABC News quoted sources as saying an additive found in the anthrax was a trademark of Saddam Hussein's biological weapons program. Maybe a blue horseshoe loves Anacot's steel moment, as the push to pin the WMD terrorist attack on Iraq begins to surface. Eight months after the attack, the New Scientist published a report that the anthrax in the letters came from the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute for Infectious Diseases at Fort Detrick, Maryland. June 2002, the FBI turns the focus on Stephen Hatfill, a civilian researcher at Fort Detrick. For the next 4 years, the FBI conducted searches of Mr. Hatfill's home and garbage, followed him 24 hours a day, interrogated friends, co-workers, and family. The FBI even publicly videotaped him meeting a prospective employer in the lobby of a hotel. Mr. Hatfill filed a lawsuit for invasion of privacy in 2003 and ultimately settled with the Department of Justice on June 27, 2008 for $5.8 million. After 4 years and nothing to show for it, the FBI switched its investigation to Bruce Ivins, another researcher at Fort Detrick. Mr. Ivins received the same treatment as Mr. Hatfill from 2006 until his alleged suicide on June 29, 2008. He was followed 24 hours a day, his garbage and house searched, friends, co-workers, and family interrogated. He told friends that government agents had stalked him and his family for months, and even offered his son $2.5 million to rat him out. According to another scientist who spoke on condition of anonymity, Ivins also said the FBI confronted his daughter with photographs of victims of the anthrax attacks and told her, "This is what your father did." In the report this week by the FBI, they paint Mr. Ivins as a psychologically unbalanced individual on a long downward spiral toward schizophrenia between 1997 and 2008. The only thing missing from the FBI profile of Mr. Ivins was claiming his favorite book was Catcher in the Rye. The apparent suicide of Mr. Ivins leaves more questions than answers. If Mr. Ivins was as unbalanced as claimed, how did he maintain his position at one of the most sensitive biowarfare research facilities in the country for almost 2 decades? Why did the FBI's best investigation team overlook Mr. Ivins for 5 years after the attacks, even though they were in constant contact with him? Did the FBI target the most psychologically vulnerable scientist closest to the investigation until he broke? Also, why did prosecutors inform Mr. Ivins that they were going to charge him with murder and go for the death penalty several days before they planned to take him into custody? The case the FBI lays out is at best circumstantial, as they can't place Mr. Ivins in Princeton, New Jersey on the days the letters were mailed, nor can they show that he had the capability to produce the anthrax spores. Even with the help of leading scientists, the FBI has been unable to reproduce the quality of anthrax that was contained in the second set of mailed letters. A read through the details of the FBI report reveal even more strange details and shady witnesses. The FBI has closed their case, and the apparent suicide of Mr. Ivins assures that justice will not be seen in the anthrax attack of 2001. A quick follow-up to a story we covered a few weeks ago. Millions of Americans are unaware that their newborn baby's DNA is taken and stored secretly by the state. Parents in Texas sued and won a court order that requires the state of Texas to destroy all collected samples of newborn DNA. According to Andrea Bolano, an Austin mother and plaintiff in the suit, people must stand up and oppose governmental lawlessness, otherwise nobody will. Well said, Andrea. Representatives from 24 central banks and monetary authorities, including the U.S. Federal Reserve and European central banks, met in Sydney, Australia on February 7th at a secret location, according to the Herald Sun. Organized by the Banks for International Settlements, the 2-day talks are shrouded in secrecy with high-level security believed to have been invoked by law enforcement agencies. There has been no reports released since the meeting took place. Director of National Intelligence Dennis Blair told the House Intelligence Committee this month that they have authority to target Americans for assassination if they present a direct terrorist threat to the United States. According to U.S. officials, only a handful of Americans would be eligible for targeting by U.S. intelligence or military operations. The legal guidance is determined by the National Security Council and the Justice Department. It appears that not one elected representative asked who would do the assassinations and if they were civilian or military. For the first time since the Great Depression, Americans took more aid from the government than they paid in taxes. The figures show the devastating results of the massive job losses last year and indicate that the so-called economic recovery that began last summer is tenuous and has a long way to go before many Americans resume life as normal. Economists said last year's unprecedented drop of $256 billion in private wages, the mainstay of consumers in ordinary times, was particularly dramatic and was more than 40 times larger than the drop in wages during the entire 2001 recession. Thanks for joining us this week. Just a reminder, we don't make the news, we just report it. From all of us at Informed Citizen News, have a great week.